Welcome back to CP24. Captured now former leader of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, spending his first night in U.S. custody. Maduro is seen in actually photos we can show you right now, going into a New York detention center, a perp walk being done by a now former head of state as he entered the United States and was placed into custody domestically. He and his wife now face charges that include narco-terrorism, conspiracy, cocaine importation, and weapons charges. This following their arrest on Saturday in a series of U.S. military strikes around Venezuela. Now, U.S. President Trump says the United States is now going to run Venezuela, at least for now, he says, until a proper transition of power can be worked out. It's unclear what that could be. It's also unclear what will happen to the people of Venezuela and the country's very rich oil reserves. Now, in an interview with ABC this week, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that the U.S. government never recognized Maduro's regime as being legitimate.
There's not a war. I mean, we are at war against drug trafficking organizations. It's not a war against Venezuela. We are enforcing American laws with regards to oil sanctions. We have sanctioned entities. We go to court. We get a warrant. We seize those boats with oil, and that will continue. We would continue to reserve the right to take strikes against drug boats that are bringing drugs towards the United States that are being operated by transnational criminal organizations, including the Cartel de los Soles. Of course, the leader of that cartel, is now in U.S. custody and facing U.S. justice in the Southern District of New York, and that's Nicolas Maduro.
Here are some images in the aftermath from the strikes on Venezuela and the military complexes that were hit, including the one that Maduro and his wife were staying at, as well as an airport. Power was knocked out. In total, the attack lasted roughly half an hour. Venezuela's vice president is saying that there were civilian and military casualties, not saying exactly how many. It's still unclear. And there are still questions about what this plan from the White House to take control of Venezuela's oil reserves could mean for gas prices. Let's not forget they're refined similar to oil in Canada. Trump has said that American companies will be extracting oil from Venezuela and, as he puts it, help rebuild its infrastructure. The country's oil industry has been in disrepair following years of neglect, international sanctions, and complications there. Now, it could require major investment to ramp up production dramatically. Some analysts are optimistic that Venezuela could even triple its current output rather quickly, but that this likely won't impact prices for crude oil in the short term. All the same, Venezuela accounts for the most amount of oil reserves from any country in the world, around 17% of all oil reserves in the world. Now, Venezuelans across the world and here in the GTA have been reacting to the news of Maduro's capture by the U.S. and also now his imprisonment in America. There's a mix of hope, concerns, and so much more about the political and economic, let's put it as, uncertainty in their homeland. Joining me now is Rebecca Sarfatti. She's a co-founder of the nonprofit organization Canada Venezuela Democracy Forum. And Rebecca, thank you so much for coming in. I know we were just talking before we went on camera, and you were saying this, the anxiety right now is probably palpable.
It's very complex what's happening. It's a mix of being super happy, then very concerned, then go back again. It's a roller coaster right now. And I feel that it's very early to make assumptions because by this point, everything is assumptions. Slowly, some things have been more clearer or and bringing more anxiety to the picture.
So the clarity in and of itself almost brings more anxiety.
It's bringing more anxiety because, of course, we are super happy that we managed to take Maduro out of power, but now confirming that the vice president is taking over temporarily, what does that mean?
And could it be temporarily?
Exactly.
What happens if it's not? And just thinking about that, the certainty meeting uncertainty here. So there's some things that have been said in pretty stark terms. The U.S. is saying that it's going to oversee Venezuela in this temporary transition of power. But what does that mean? And how long could that be? And the other thing is we've been talking a lot about oil. But we haven't talked a lot about Venezuelan as people.
Yes, of course. The world sees Venezuela as you said, the biggest reserve of oil of the world. But is it actually functioning? Is it actually taking oil out of the ground? Like, I believe everything is malfunctioning right now. Like, if the oil is the issue, like for President Trump, if the oil is the issue, it's not there right now.
Well, how do you feel about that? Just as a don't mean to interrupt. Do you think this is ultimately from the White House, regardless of whether or not it's good in your mind for your people? Do you think that the White House is doing this because it allows? It's a question of egos getting into play between Maduro and Trump. Is it a question of whether it's oil that's at the bottom of all this? What do you think is behind this?
On a personal level, I feel that there's a lot of ego of President Trump involved, as not even for Venezuela particularly or for Maduro particularly. It's about taking power or saying, as he brag all the time, that I did it. So I don't know how much of what he's planning to do is for the benefit of the people of Venezuela. So yeah.
When I think about when you said the benefit of the people of Venezuela, so we've had for 25 years, there's been a very big push, even going back to Hugo Chavez, there's been a push for a very long time for some sort of regime change in Venezuela. And you have a very nationalized oil system, also everything being nationalized, of course, under the regime. But then how do you, America being the epicenter of capitalism, how are those things going to meet? How do you think this is going to work out, like in the foreseeable future?
That's also that makes the uncertainty more complicated, because probably most Venezuelans were expecting that if something like this happened, which honestly, it took me by surprise. The way it happened, when I'm saying it's the way it happened, it took me by surprise. But a lot of Venezuelans were praying for this to happen in this way. So how the reaction today is, we love President Trump because he did what nobody else was able to do. But what about the day after? What's going to happen now? How are Venezuelans, leaders or regular people, involved in their own future? Again, it's too early to analyze those President Trump's or Marco Rubio comments in a more precise way, because what do they mean of ruling? I decided I will rule the country. Have you spoken with Venezuelans? Are we in the plan? Are we part of the ruling towards the path to recover democracy? I was actually listening to some news that was saying that President Trump has never mentioned the word democracy in his speeches, and that is what Venezuelans want: the recovery of the democratic path in order to find a way to have alternative in the government. It's what we Venezuelans decide. So my question to President Trump is, has he taken the time to ask what we want? He's unilaterally taking decisions of what the future of Venezuela be, even if he has the best intentions with what he's saying. It's not that way.
Or the best outcome from your perspective either.
Yes, exactly. So I'm extremely grateful that the U.S. took Maduro out and they're presenting him to the law. But I'm very concerned of what's going to happen after. Like, it's just the weekend. Like, what's going to happen Monday, Tuesday, next week, next month? What's the plan, and who's involved in that plan? It cannot be the U.S. only. It cannot be President Trump, because I'm pretty sure the Congress is not in agreement with him as a whole. So what will this bring to the international community? Why is not the international community involved in this as a whole? So why are not Venezuelan leaders involved in this? You don't see them interacting. At this point, I'm not saying it won't happen, but at this point, I feel it's like he's taking decisions on our destiny.
So thinking about it, about the decisions that he is making, he is the leader of the free world. Well, do you have hope right now? I guess we've talked a lot about the complexity, but do you feel hope after something like this happening, which you said so many people in Venezuela did want? Of course,
Yes.
there's many that,
Yes.
well, some that would not have, but regardless, this is being seen as a net positive by a lot of people from Venezuela.
Yes, of course. Of course, if you take the task, it was a positive thing to happen. But there's many things that need to be happening in order to get where we want to be. It's okay, yes, we took him over, and it seems that we're playing with them a little bit for a while, but how long will that take? Will this be something we're talking about months, we're talking about years? That uncertainty, and what about all partners that this regime has, as Hezbollah, who have presence in Venezuela? Are they also leaving? Are still there? What are we going to do with those? Are we going to bombard Caracas every night to get rid of everybody? What's the plan? He hasn't been clear with us on what's the plan. Hope, yes, I have hope, but I also have patience. I've been fighting for this for 25 years, so we had patience, but the emotions only don't fix the situation. It's fair to have emotions. It's fair to feel, okay, we're closer. Yes, we are, but how close? I don't know. There's uncertainty. We don't know.
Uncertainty indeed. Rebecca, I really wish we could keep talking, and we definitely could for a very long time about this,
Yes.
but I want to thank you for your time, and thank you for coming in studio today and sharing.
Thank you for covering, because we have been out of radar for too long.
Well, I think sometimes there's so much going on, but if you don't stop and take a look every once in a while, you miss things.
Yes.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Rebecca Sarfatti is the co-founder of the nonprofit organization Canada Venezuela Democracy Forum. She's joined us live on CP24. We'll be right back with your news.